So, brothers and sisters, I want you to cast your mind back in the days when your parents came here, or the earlier generation of Muslims who came to this country. I still remember my father's story when he came here in 1956, when there were not many masajids, not many Muslims around. He used to hide and pray in a bunker at his workplace, in an underground tunnel, in order to be hidden and not seen to be praying. Today, subhanallah, we have people taking the wrong turning and finding a mosque. That's what happens to me in London. I take the wrong turning and I end up finding a mosque. Where did this mosque come from? I'm in London for all my life. I've not seen this before. Or people take me to amazing places up and down the country, from the northern parts of the UK and Scotland to the furthest parts in the south, and they ask me to help them fundraise for their masajid, and I've been involved in doing so many. Alhamdulillah, Allah has honored me to do this. And the more I do, the more I see a better future for Muslims in this country. The more I ask, the more people I meet, the more travels I make, the more I see a better future for Muslims in this country. I don't see a bleak future at all. Sometimes it may look bleak because of what's going on in the world. But you know what, brothers and sisters, I am very optimistic. I am very optimistic. Every morning I wake up, and what makes me wake up, it's the optimism. It's the promise of Allah when He says, وَالضُّحَى, He promises by the glorious morning. He promises a better day tomorrow. He does. And in the Quran, one of my most favorite verses is, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. Don't despair and don't be sad. You see, it's interesting. Allah says, don't be sad. It's an order to never be sad. How is it possible that we shouldn't be sad? Sadness is a normal feeling. What Allah is saying is, don't wallow in your sadness. Don't hold on to that feeling and stay in it. That's what Allah is saying. That's all. Move on. Become optimistic and positive. If you study the life of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wallahi, I can't see a leader, an inspirer, a transformer, a messenger of Allah like the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From the day he was born, he was facing difficulty. And on the day he died, he was facing difficulty. Every step of the way, he was facing difficulty. And if a human being like him could overcome all those difficulties and still remain upbeat and positive, you and I can do the same. There is no reason why we should feel that we cannot embrace the future. So I always think about the future. I always dream about the future. A future where Islam and Muslims are seen as an integral part of British society. It is not the other. It is not a foreign religion. It is the religion of people of Britain. If they choose to embrace it, accept it. If they don't wish to, still it should be a fabric of British society and conversation, just like Christianity is, just like Judaism has become, just like any other. Let there be a marketplace of religions in the UK. Let it all freely interact with one another. Let it all feel proud to be British. That's what I want to see. That's the dream I have. I have a dream where I believe Islam would become part and parcel of British narrative, not a foreign narrative. And for this to happen, Muslims who live in this country, the 1.8 million to 3 million, whichever number you believe in, it makes no difference to me when it comes to numbers. We all need to behave like we belong. You behave foreign, they will treat you foreign. You talk foreign, they will consider you to be foreign. You can remain a minority for the rest of your life. But how long will you remain a minority? For how long will you tolerate others telling you you're a foreigner? For why? What reason? I'm not a foreigner. It's my home, my children's home. And the parents who came here, their home too. So we need to start behaving like we belong. We belong here. The destiny of Britain, destiny of Europe is directly and absolutely interconnected to our destiny and our future. Always believe this, and I believe it, and I have no other conviction except this, that this is my home. Allah has sent me here for a reason. I was raised here for a reason. I got married here for a reason. I have 2 children for a reason. My reasons are that I will see Islam becoming part and parcel of British society over time. Integral part of British society over time. You see, my wife is Hungarian. My parents are Bangladeshi. Our children, some of you may say they're confused. But they're not confused at all. If anything, they're very confident children. They know their identity very well. You know, it's interesting when my son and my daughter, they meet their grandmother. Allah has given both of the sets of grandmothers still alive and kicking, alhamdulillah, good and strong. Grandfather one, my wife's father passed away, and my father, though alive, he is 93 and suffering from dementia. So there is no relationship for them. And yet when my daughter and my son meet, they would meet their grandmother, my side of the family, they would say they're Banglish, Bengali and English together. When they would meet their grandmother from their mother's side of the family, they would say they're Hunglish, Hungarian and English together. And when they see their friends in their playground, in their schools, they would say they're English. Very proud to be English. Who's going to take that away from them? Nobody. And I want them to feel that they belong. Britain is their home, and I want you to bring up your children so that they can feel that they belong. Muslims who want to live in this country and create Islam, an integral part of our future, we, my brothers and sisters, better treat our neighbors like our neighbors. We better treat our neighbors as though they're our people, my family and my friend. You don't treat your neighbors well, you're in trouble in this world and in the hereafter. We better treat our neighbors like our friends and our families. The Prophet of Allah ﷺ was saying that Jibreel keeps on telling me, keeps on poking me, not literally, but prodding me and telling me, oh Muhammad, be good to your neighbor, be good to your neighbor. I got very worried. Maybe one day Jibreel would say, oh Muhammad, Allah has made your neighbor such that they will inherit your wealth too. Subhanallah. Look at the instruction Prophet ﷺ has given. No different to what Isa ﷺ, Jesus taught his people. Love thy neighbor. Not only just love thy neighbor in our cases, you must love them and you must do everything possible for their well-being. Prophet ﷺ said, you're not a Muslim if you go to sleep with your stomach full and if your neighbor is still hungry. So if we want to make Islam an integral part of British society, we better treat our neighbors like they're our family members, like we care for them, like we love them, like we're concerned for their well-being. My neighbor one day decided to board the backside of my house. Out of the blue, we were on holiday. I came back and I said to him, why have you done this? He goes, my house got burgled. His house got burgled. And he goes, I know you were on holiday and I didn't want your house to be burgled. This is what you call neighbors. I'm away. He spends his money. He sacrificed his own wealth. But he doesn't want me to lose the same. He has boarded the back of my house because he knows I'm on holiday. Brothers and sisters, this is the Islamic value that we need to learn and teach. The guy who did this wasn't a Muslim, wasn't a Christian. He was a tree-hugging hippie. Great friend of mine. He did an amazing job when we was our neighbor. But you know what? Human values are the same wherever you go. Every person, wherever they are coming from, they love good neighbors. If we want to make Islam an integral part of Britain and British society, my brothers and sisters, we Muslims must treat Britain as our home. We must treat Britain as a place that we care and we value. You see what Rasulullah said when he asked a group of companions, what would you do? He gave an example. He said, imagine a group of people are traveling on a boat. There is upper deck and there is hull. One group is on the upper deck and the other group is in the hull. The people in the hull, every time they have to take water from the river, they have to climb over, cross through those people on the deck and get the water, disturbing them constantly. Eventually they became an annoyance. Eventually they became an irritant. So the people of the deck said, hey guys, you're not coming up again. You stay down there, you keep on disturbing us. So the people of the hull said to the people of the deck, okay, we don't need to come up. Water is closer to us than you guys. We'll dig a hole in the boat, on the hull, and see how quickly we can get the water. Prophet ﷺ said, what do you think will happen to those people? Of course the companion said the obvious, they will all sink. We are in Britain, this is our home. I find it atrocious that anyone could think of harming Britain. I find it absolutely unacceptable that anyone could conspire to harm Britain. This is our home, home of our children, home of our future, home of our grandchildren. And it has been a home for our families for hundreds of years, if not slightly less than that. But do you know what? This is our home. It's the boat we're riding, and that's the only boat you have. You don't have two. One boat. It's our home. Please, brothers and sisters, if we want to make Britain accept embrace and say Islam has become an integral part of British society, we better treat Britain like ours. We better treat Britain like ours. I have a dream of a future where Muslims are not just Muslims by name, but they're confident Muslims. Confidence is oozing out of you. You see, Shahada told me a few minutes ago that you need to inspire confidence in people. When you say, unfortunately, you're in charge, people think negatively. And I thought, you know what? A brilliant reminder. Confidence isn't just about talking. It's about living. It's about demonstrating that we are confident. And confidence comes, my brothers and sisters, from knowledge. For the Muslims to have confidence, for the Muslims to create a society based on confidence, for Muslims to create children and their offsprings who can be confident, they need to have knowledge. They need to have knowledge of Islam. They need to have thorough knowledge of Islam. When I say to my non-Muslim friends, did you know the first word of revelation wasn't to fight? What? First word and command of revelation wasn't to pray. Really? First command of Allah wasn't to fast. It was to read. And Shaykh Haytham gave his presentation yesterday, in which he gave you the 5 first most important things that were revealed. All of it relates to knowledge. All of it. In the first 5 verses, Allah talks about reading. Allah talks about science, rousing human conscience to find out what is alaq. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Khalaq al-insana min alaq. Ya Allah, what is alaq? What is alaq? We now know what alaq is because we have got science and technology. Allah is rousing human conscience to delve deeper into the Quran and discover what is alaq. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a Nabi al-Ummi who did not know how to read and write. He did not know what alaq was, but yet he said it 1400 years ago before scientific instruments came to confirm. In the same verse of the Quran, in the first verses of the Quran, Allah talks about discovery. He talks about Iqra wa rabbukal akram. Read in the name of your Lord, who is sublime, who is most kindest, most beneficial, beneficent. How do you discover Allah? Through discovery, through contemplation and reflection. Then he says, Iqra wa rabbukal akram alladhi allama bil qalam. He taught you and I with the aid of pen. Again, pen, a means of learning. Allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam. And he taught humanity what they did not know. We knew nothing, and yet Allah gave us the knowledge of everything. If we were to tell the world and demonstrate in ourselves that we are a people who are knowledgeable, the world will change, and perception of Muslims and Islam will change. Did you know, brothers and sisters, Islam and Muslims have the first command of Allah for 13 years in Mecca. No other command was revealed. In the 13 years, no other commands were revealed except one: read, Iqra. Read. It's only in Medina Allah told them to pray. It's only in Medina Allah told them to pay zakat and do hajj and fast. For 13 years, Muslims were concentrating on reading and discovering Allah, increasing their iman. So we need to become a people who, in Britain and in our children, in our society, ooze the confidence of knowledge. We're not just read people, we're well-read people. We're not just read people because we've read the Quran. No, we've read other books and literature. We are well-read people, rounded we read. This country, Western world, I love about our country is a culture of reading. People love reading. Publications and publishers are making millions because of people who are reading. We need to enthuse our children to read more and more and more. So I need Muslims to change. I need us to change. And if you want to embrace a future, have a dream of a confident Muslim community. Have a dream of a Muslim community who are able to not just talk about knowledge, not just talk about reading, but they practice every faith, of every aspect of their faith, without the cultural prejudice that their parents bring or their families have brought to this country. You don't need to be cultural in the Asian context or Arab context. You are British. There is nothing wrong in being an English Muslim. There is nothing wrong when I ask a Pakistani or Bengali, are you a Bengali Muslim or Pakistani Muslim? They're very happy. But when I ask them, are you an English Muslim? They're very hesitant. I'm not sure. Why not? What is wrong with us in accepting the culture that we live in? In fact, it is part of Sharia that we need to embrace the local customs and cultures. If it contradicts Islam, of course we don't. But essentially, most cultures and customs don't contradict Islam. And therefore, and has always been Islam a religion of universality and embraced people, and people found amazing solace in the culture of Islam. Islam went to Indonesia, merged and blended into Indonesian culture. Islam went to China, blended into Chinese culture. Islam went to Spain, blended into Spanish culture. Islam went to Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, entire world. Only 12% of the world's population are Arabic speaking. Only 12% of the world's population are Arabic speaking. 88% of the Muslim world don't speak Arabic. They have different cultures. That's what enriches Islam. My brothers and sisters, we have caused a problem for ourselves. We have created a little Bangladesh, little Pakistan, little Arabia in the middle of Britain. That's the problem. We in the Islamic Society of Britain would like to be the pioneers of creating and transforming our approach to culture. Our approach to religion should be without prejudice. A friend of mine, actually he's here. I will not tell you who he is, but he told me one day, I'm going to write a will. Could you agree to taking my children if something was to happen to me and my wife? I said to him, why me? Because I have not seen anyone who is culturally neutral like you. I said, what do you mean? He said, you don't take culture and prejudice people on the basis of that. I am not Bangladeshi. I am of a different culture. My wife is of a different culture. And we've brought up our children to embrace all cultures. Would you be kind enough to take our children if something was to happen to me or my wife? I felt so honored. Actually, I felt exonerated because all my life I've been fighting this battle that we need to become culturally neutral people, culturally embracing people, culturally pluralistic people. We embrace all and we create our own. If you want to be accepted as Muslims in this country, and if you want to be confident Muslim, we brothers and sisters need to have open mind. You know, one story I always tell people, and everyone tells me that this story brings tears not only to their eyes, but everyone who hears it. A lady came and knocked on my mosque's door. She was knocking on the door. I was inside, I was doing a circle with little kids. I said to one of the children, can you please go and check the door? So he opened the door and he saw a lady. He goes, sir, there is a lady knocking on the door. I said, please bring her inside. So she came in. She sat down. I said, what can I do for you? She goes, I have driven from, listen to this, I have driven from Worcester all the way to London. Why have you driven all the way to London? I have driven all the way to London to become a Muslim. What? SubhanAllah. I said to myself, I said to her, why here? She goes, a few months ago, I was walking along my shopping center, my local shopping center. And on the floor, I saw a leaflet. On that leaflet, it said, Introduction to Islam. I picked it up and I read. And I became very curious. I went and bought books. I went online and searched. And now I'm convinced that I want to become Muslim. At the bottom of this leaflet, there was a telephone number. And this telephone number is of this mosque. I called this number 4 or 5 times. But I'm really sorry, the person who picks up the phone doesn't speak English. Every time I say, he says no English and puts the phone down. But I never gave up, she said. I never gave up. I searched and I searched and I searched. And I found the address of this mosque. And I told my parents to come with me. They're waiting outside. I've come here to become Muslim. Could you please help? I was crying my eyes out listening to her. Thinking, whoa, is this the experience of a person who has come to Islam? Allah has guided her and we Muslims have become a barrier for her? I said to her, can you please go and bring your parents inside? She goes, are you sure? I said, yes, please. So they came in, they sat in front of me, and then she took Shahada. And as she said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, she cried and her parents were weeping like babies. So I turned to her parents and I said to them, congratulations to everyone after doing the courteous things. I said to them, please tell me, why are you crying? Why are you crying? So they said to me, my daughter has been searching for a religion for a long time. We're so pleased that she has found one. This is called open-minded parents, brothers and sisters. You know what? The saddest thing for me is most non-Muslims are often more open-minded than you and I are. Here are parents saying, my child wants to become Muslim, go ahead and become Muslim. I will help you. We have lost our bearing. We are not open-minded. If you truly want to be accepted in Britain, and if you want to create a future with confidence, be open-minded. explore other people's cultures and background, invite them to your house, befriend them, get your children to integrate in the society. Be confident, give them confidence, and if they're confident, they'll be okay. You have to be confident. So I have a dream where Muslims are confident Muslims. Muslims who create a future for themselves and not wait for somebody else to make it for them. I have a dream of a future, brothers and sisters, where Muslims play a vital role in every aspect of British life. Everything. We need to be involved in our school governance. I know some people wouldn't like that. Trojan horse is a nasty saga. But Trojan horse is led by one man and his cronies. Where was the Muslims to challenge one man and his cronies from taking the Muslims for a ride? One man, Michael Gove, or Gove, however you pronounce his name. He's been shut out of politics for his backstabbing, conniving, double standard that he had. He's backstabbed Boris Johnson. Nobody trusts a liar. Nobody trusts a duplicitous politician. Nobody does. And he's been shut out. Where were the Muslim community challenging Michael Gove when he challenged Muslims with Trojan horse? A lie and a fabrication. A man's career and the entire Muslim community's reputation in Birmingham was damaged. We were not there to challenge such a man. But you know what? We need to regain our confidence and say we want to become governors of schools. Why? Because our children go there. Because we want to create the well-being and welfare of all people. It's not about imposing Islam at all. Why would you want to impose Islam on anybody? When imposing Islam is contradictory to Quran and the Sunnah. You want to be part of the society, to make influence, to change, to be able to make things better. Becoming local authorities. In local authorities, you are councillors elected. How many of you have ever thought of putting your name forward to be elected as a councillor at local level? How many of you have thought of becoming somebody of influence and somebody of authority at local level? National politics, becoming an MP. I know some of you know that in 2010, I did try to become an MP in our parliament here, and I stood for the election in Tower Hamlets. Everybody told me, don't do it, it's impossible, you can't do it, you don't have the money, who's going to support you? I asked people to support me, and whoever supported, alhamdulillah, whoever didn't support, it didn't stop me. I didn't stand as a parliamentary candidate to become an MP, no. I stood to break the barriers. I stood to tell people that it can be done. It can be done. And I stood and I worked tirelessly. For 18 months, my family hardly saw me. 3 to 4 hours of sleep every night. And yet I was on the doorsteps, knocking on doors, talking to people, inviting them to vote for me. The pundits predicted that I will only become 5th if I'm lucky in the election. But I beat their prediction, and Allah's grace and mercy enabled me to become 2nd in an election where that party, Lib Dems, where I was, hardly ever got any more than 3,000 votes, and I got 11,900 votes in a constituency where they'd never had such votes. And it is said, if the Muslim community was not divided into our hamlets at that time, putting up 5 Muslim candidates, I would have won the seat. Even the current candidate, current MP who won the seat, she will tell you that I would have won the seat if the Muslims had not divided themselves into small segments. But you know what, brothers and sisters? It's not about me. It's about telling the Muslims that we need to be involved. We need to be involved. Politics, anyone says it's not part of Islam, they need their knowledge checked. Prophet ﷺ led the entire Muslim world from Masjid al-Nawawi. What do you mean politics is not part of Islam? Allah has created this world. You and I are custodians of this world. And if you and I are going to follow a religion without politics, how can you be the custodian of this earth? When I say politics, I mean moral leadership. I mean grounded leadership. I mean ethical leadership. Not lining your pockets and being corrupt. Not being bought by bankers and lobby groups. No, people of principle. And if you're not going to be there, somebody else is going to be. We need to be part of trade union. We need to be part of lobby groups. We need to be part of policy institutes. Today, people from the right wing, funded by the American right wing groups, are flooding British government and their policy makers with policies upon policies upon policies. Where are the Muslims? Those people are the ones who are determining the future of your and my children in Britain. Where are we? We're nowhere to be seen. I have a dream of a future where Muslims play a vital role in every aspect of British life, my brothers and sisters. That's how I embrace future. That's how I embrace my involvement. That's what I believe ISB should be doing. That's what I believe we should be doing together. Changing our society for the better and the good. I don't believe in those people who just complain, sitting on their backside. I don't believe in any of them. I say very simply, you don't like Britain, you don't like it so much that you conspire to harm it, please do me a favor. Do us all, Muslims and non-Muslims, a favor. Return your passport, return it to British government and leave. Go to a country where you belong or you feel comfortable. But for as long as you belong into Britain, as long as you have that passport in your pocket, either you get involved to change because you don't like certain things, or you don't. There is no choice. And if you are going to stay and benefit, you better create a world that you love and you can create for everybody. Brothers and sisters, as Muslims, we have a duty, according to the saying of Rasulullah, duty to be involved, not to become passive. I have a dream of a future where Muslims are part of mainstream media. All of you have talked about media today. All of us. Why is it that we value doctors, engineers, lawyers for our children's profession, and don't encourage our children to become journalists? Don't encourage our children to become producers, editors and filmmakers? Why is it that we don't have any of our children doing reporting for TV, mainstream, BBC, ITV, Sky, all sorts? Why is it that we don't have anchors, hijab wearing anchors? Why is it that we don't have Muslims on the box talking about issues and seeing and becoming the face of British media? I know we have Assad. I know we have got a few people. I know we have. Not enough. More needs to be done. And we need to encourage our children to take up those roles. But you know, brothers and sisters, you know I've been working in the media for a long time. And my career with the media began only in 2001 or 2 after 9/11 incidents in America. I wasn't trained. What I do is self-learned and self-trained. It's hard work. I stare at that camera. It's daunting. It's terrifying. It's looking at you and they're going to fire questions. Sometimes, wallahi al-azim, I answer questions and I don't know where that answer came from. I didn't go with notes and preparation. I have no idea where these thoughts come from. I don't formulate them. And if you ask me to formulate the thoughts afterward, I can't. I remember my interview after Lee Rigby's murder. I was disheveled, wearing a terrible dress or shirt. I was wearing a t-shirt and jeans. I took my nieces who had come from America on a day trip in London. And Lee Rigby was murdered that day. ITV or Sky called me up and said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm in Westminster." "Oh, brilliant. Could you come and do an interview?" "Oh, I can't do an interview. I'm wearing jeans and t-shirt." "Please go ahead." So I told my nieces, "You stay here, I'll be back." Found a taxi, went straight to Oxford Street, bought a shirt. Took another taxi, came back straight to the studio and I did my interview. My face was swollen, I was looking a complete mess. I sat in front of the camera and as the camera was focusing, I remember the dua. I remember the dua of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. When Musa went to the lion's den to see Pharaoh, I imagined I'm sitting in front of the camera and the camera is my Pharaoh. And I said, "Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli." Ya Allah, Ya Rabb, expand my chest and my wisdom. Ya Allah, give my tongue ease so that I can speak. Ya Allah, enable people to understand what I say. Those were my words. I did that dua and the interview I did. I don't know what I said and I can't remember what I said. I left. Until my friends and everyone started calling me, saying, "Have you seen your interview?" "Which interview?" "The one you just did." "I haven't seen it, I'm out on the road." It's become viral. Within 2 hours, 2-3 million people have watched it. Has become going around everywhere. People are calling me for more interviews. I'm really sorry guys, I'm not available today. You know what, brothers and sisters? It comes with a sacrifice. A huge sacrifice on my family. Sacrifice on my own personal safety and security. But unless we do it, nobody else is going to do it. Do you think by going in front of the media, I have gained monetarily? No, I'm still a pauper. I'm still renting a house from somebody else. It's okay, alhamdulillah. But unless you are interested in doing something, as a result of what I have done with the media and with the support and dua of you, I'm still alive. Even though ISIS and Daesh have given me 2 death threats. ISIS have given me one, and the pirates of Somalia, the Shabab, have given me another one. I'm still alive, alhamdulillah. What are they going to do? So we need to become involved with the media in every way possible. We need to become people who produce programs, who are senior executives, who are in top positions in the media. Not own media, be part of the mainstream media. And you know what? With the 21st century world, coming up to 22nd century soon, TV screens and watching programs from home is becoming obsolete. Most of our children are watching TV programs or programs and documentaries on their phones and their smart gadgets. You don't have to have sophisticated television and complicated media outfit to be able to produce programs. You just need one phone. You know, iPhone can produce 4K films nowadays, which are winning BAFTA, which are winning Sony Awards, and who just are winning Sundance Award. Amazing awards. But iPhone, children are making films. Encourage your children. We need to create a new narrative. Media is our tool, and that tool should never be missed. I have a dream of a future, my brothers and sisters, where I believe ISB as an organization can make a difference. Where you and I together need to be more visible, like you said. We need to have pop-up branches. We need to have branches. We need to be seeing more of you active. We need to reclaim, and mark my words again and again, we need to reclaim the authentic middle ground. Allah says that in the Quran, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. And Allah has made you a nation right in the middle. وَسَطًا. Shaykh Haytham talked about wasatiyah in his speech as one of the keys to change. Right in the middle. We're not extreme ever. Never been extreme. I have never been extreme. Everyone who knows me knows I've been the same in the middle all my life. Why should I be extreme? If I become extreme, it contradicts my religion, my value, by which I live every day. We are the authentic middle ground. We don't need to become those people who sell their religion for a bit of fame and fortune. No, we don't want to become like this. We don't want to become charlatans who sell their religion because somebody else told them to say something, and they are prostituting themselves to gain a bit of fame and name. We don't do that. We remain authentic to our deen, our religion, because our religion demands you and I to share it with the world, the goodness of it, because this is what we believe. So I believe as people, ISB as an organization need to reclaim the middle ground. Reclaim the authentic middle ground. Never be afraid of it. Authentic middle ground is my mantra from here on. You'll hear more and more of it. I will say it, and I hope you'll say it too. Authentic middle ground, where we are reliant on the Quran and the Sunnah to guide us. We are reliant on our scholars and our teachers and all the traditions that we have had. But we implement our religion in the context in which we live, in Britain, in this country, in this continent. We don't live in Asia. We don't live in Arabia. And it is part of Islamic tradition to contextualize the text of the Quran and the Sunnah in the environment in which we live. So let's reclaim the middle ground. Let's become a vibrant organization. Let's become active in every cities and towns of our country. Let's inspire the new generation, even the older ones, anyone who's interested in listening to our message. And what is our message? What is our message? Taking Islam to the people. Sharing the goodness of Islam with people. Sharing the goodness of Islam with everybody. Because we care and we share. That's what Islam is all about. وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Cooperate with one another in that which is virtuous and good. And don't cooperate with one another in that which is wrong. And udwan creates enmity, dividing community, sectarian divisions, thinking about us and them, looking down on people, segregating people. These are part of udwan. We need to oppose and stand against. I know I've spoken for nearly 35 minutes. I don't want to talk anymore. But my passion is to see ISB grow. And I believe that's your passion too. That's why you have sacrificed your weekend and of course your family to have fun. But ISB is about fun. I remember one of my younger days, we used to go to potholing with our families in ISB. We used to go to kayaking, canoeing in Wales as part of our families of ISB. I remember one of our sisters came to kayaking with her high heels on. It was hilarious. She was running to catch the high heels and I was watching from the side and I was waiting for her to fall. And she fell right in the river. Of course, we were there to help her. Those memories will always remain with me. Where I remember I was cooking for everybody. My food was okay. People ate and lived. Brothers and sisters, that memory you can pass on to your children. And they will pass on to their children. The golden memory of staying together, working together. So I'll finish off with the word that I began my talk from the other day. Allah says in the Quran, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. and hold on to the rope of Allah together. وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, don't be divided. وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ, and remember Allah's mercy on you. إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً, you were enemies. فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ, and He has brought your hearts together. فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا, and He has made you brothers. وَكُنْتُمْ عَلَى شَفَا حُفْرَةٍ مِّنَ النَّارِ فَأَنْقَذَكُمْ مِنْهَا, and you were on the brink of falling in the fire, but Allah saved you. Our brotherhood, our sisterhood, our togetherness, our unity, our desire to make a change, and our determination to make Islam an integral part of Britain is what should drive us to do more work. I would like to finish by inviting you all to join ISB if you haven't joined yet. Please go to the organization's website, www.isb.org.uk. Join. Every single one of you joining, like I said, would be another pair of hands, more resources, more creative mind, more passion, more energy. That's what we need. On our own, we're useless. We need you together to work with us, inshallah. So may Allah bless you all for listening so attentively. May Allah bless us all for our time and effort in this camp. I'm going to stop here. But if you have got any questions or thoughts that you want to share before we finish, I'm more than happy to take that. Thank you very much.